Regrettably, there exist a number of chess players who shamelessly aim to achieve checkmate in a few moves using the scholar's mate. Recently, a video was released on countering this strategy, garnering approximately 1 million views. However, I must apologize for not delivering the most ruthless and effective methods to combat this attack. Today, my intention is to rectify that by demonstrating an exceptionally brutal approach to utterly dismantle White's unsound attack and emerge triumphant. The sequence begins with White playing pawn to e4, to which you respond with pawn to e5. Typically, White proceeds by bringing their queen out to h5, setting up the initial deceptive move. Yet, attempting to dislodge the queen by playing pawn to g6 would be a grave error. White could capture on e5, doubling the attack with the queen and rook, leading to the loss of the rook and ultimately, the game. This perilous situation must be avoided. Instead, it is advisable to opt for knight to c6 to defend the e5 pawn. White will subsequently play bishop c4, posing a checkmating threat with queen takes f7. Most tutorials, including my previous video, recommend playing knight to f6 at this point. However, a far more aggressive and astonishing move is to consider pawn to f5. Though it may appear absurd initially, this move sets the stage for a ferocious counterattack. Your counterattack commences with knight to d4. This move simultaneously targets the queen and the c2 pawn. Moreover, your knight poses a threat to the king and rook, resulting in a fork that secures the rook and exposes the king. Furthermore, if the queen relocates, you can seize the opportunity to push your pawn to d5 with tempo, attacking the bishop and enabling your own bishop to capture the c2 pawn. This sequence exemplifies the rapid deployment of your counterattack, catching your opponent off guard. After knight to d4, most opponents will play queen to d5, seemingly granting White a favorable position. They might even have a checkmating threat with queen takes e5. However, by simply playing queen to e7, you thwart both possibilities, effectively putting an end to White's attack. Even if they opt to trade on g6, it would not harm you. Additionally, you gain an open file for your rook, bolstering your advantageous position. At this stage, White must evaluate their position and contend with the imminent threat of knight to c2, forking the king and rook. Typically, they defend the c2 pawn by playing knight to e3. In response, you play knight to f6, simultaneously developing your pieces and mounting another attack on their queen. Their only available square, not yet controlled by you, is a 5, leaving the queen awkwardly placed and vulnerable to your pawn b6, exerting further pressure. With your active pieces and unrelenting attack, White's position rapidly deteriorates. In certain cases, your opponents may realize their mistake and opt for a safer move, such as queen to d3, in an attempt to hold onto the c2 pawn and sustain their attack. Nevertheless, you can decisively quash their plans by playing d5, attacking the bishop and renewing the threat to capture the c2 pawn. Their subsequent move of queen to c3 aims to safeguard their position, but you respond with knight to f6, combining development with yet another attack on their queen. Should they play pawn to d3 to impede your knight's jump to e4 and attack their queen, you maintain your aggressive stance. To maximize the impact of your counterattack, I strongly recommend maintaining an offensive posture. Pushing pawn to a5, threatening to capture the bishop on b4. However, their attempt to block your advance with pawn to a4 backfires when you play bishop to b4, unexpectedly pinning their queen and seizing the opportunity to capture it. This final blow signifies a well-deserved victory, punishing White for their ill-conceived early queen attack. By employing this merciless strategy, you effectively convey a clear message to opponents who rely on unsound tactics. Your counterattack is swift and overwhelming, leaving White in disarray as you achieve full development and assert dominance over the position. That concludes our discussion for today, and we'll reconvene in the next episode of Get Smart. Take care and peace.